Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie of ChakraBoosters.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about one really simple way that you can do daily chakra healing without changing too much in your life. Because all of us need to eat. Of course, we have people that claim to be breatharians who don't eat, but for most of us mere mortals, and those of us who love food like me, eating is a regular thing. And by becoming more aware of the colors and the food types on our plate, we can actually use this regular habit, this thing we do every day, to help heal our chakras. So why not, right? So I'm going to bring to you in this video 3 ways that we can, in general, use food to heal the chakras. And then I'm going to actually do a whole series for you where I'm going to bring you my 5 favorite foods for each chakra. And man, for the lower chakras it was hard, and I'll explain to you in a moment why it wasn't as hard for the upper chakras. But for the lower chakras, narrowing it down to 5 was sometimes kind of difficult, but I did it for you. So that series is coming up, and if you're watching this video, perhaps that series exists already. So check it out, see if it's there. I will, when it is ready, give you links to the other videos. So let's talk about how do you use food to heal your chakras. Well, it's not really about how you take it in, how you imbibe it, how you digest it, because that's getting a little too specific. So we're not talking about that. We're just talking about how do you choose the foods that are best for each chakra. Well, first of all, let me just remind you of something that sometimes I find that people forget, and that is we don't want to heal the chakras until we first assess. That would be as silly as you going to the doctor, telling the doctor you do not want to have a diagnosis or any kind of checkup, but all you want is for the doctor to give you a particular pill. Now that would be silly, right? Because we need to get the picture of where we're at before we ever get a remedy. Just like if we are here in our home and we want to go to the mall, we need to know where our home is in relation to the mall. We need to know where we are and where we're going. Okay? So you got to know where you are and where you're going. So always do an assessment first. And food is a really good way for you. In general, you can do balanced chakras on your plate by having all the colors and all the different food types, but that's hard to do in every meal. So if you know that you have a weaker chakra, let's say you're weaker in the sacral, then you could do more sacral foods and specifically work with healing the sacral over a particular period of time. So I highly recommend that you do assessments of your chakras pretty often. Okay, and there is one free test online that I love a lot, and I'm going to put the link down in the description box below. Okay, I get no kickbacks. The person doesn't ask you for any money, doesn't market to you. It's just a really good test. I'm just sharing it with you because I love you and you're in my tribe. So you probably want to take that test if you haven't taken it yet. Okay, so once you've assessed, once you know that either you want to heal a particular chakra on a regular basis for a period of time, or you're just working, you feel pretty balanced, but you want to boost all your chakras by making sure you keep your diet really balanced, then you'll know what you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the color of each chakra really briefly, because our first way of healing the chakras is the simplest, and that is with color. Color. The number one way, actually, just because it's so easy. And if you even just put foods on your plate that are very rainbowish, you have a lot of color on your plate, notice how your body feels. If you have a plate, say the plate is white, and you have like mashed potatoes on the white plate, and say you're a meat eater and you have a piece of white chicken, whitish chicken, and you have some cauliflower, like the whole plate is white. You see how that feels? That feels very off balance to our very psyche. But if you work to really make all the colors be there, you automatically have some kind of balancing. But we do want to know if, for instance, you're weak in the solar plexus, you might want to have more yellow foods, right? So the way it works is that the root chakra obviously is red, right? It's red. And the sacral is orange. It's the divine feminine that's about your creativity. The solar plexus is yellow, your power, your can-do, the doer in you, the warrior. Your heart chakra is green, and it's like the peaceful place, the balance point in your field, your energy field, that really is your essence, your love. You are love when all your chakras are balanced because you're in your heart. The fifth chakra is blue, and it is about your truth, your expression, your honor. It's the highest masculine chakra. The sixth chakra, also known as the third eye up here, is about your intuition, and it is indigo. Indigo is a very dark purpley blue. And the crown chakra, that's about your connection to everything, is often referred to as violet because it is close to the body, but it turns white pretty quickly. It turns into the color that we associate with spirit, which is white, the allness of everything, the color of energy, so to speak, at its highest level when it's not manifest. It's just consciousness is white. That's why we see white light, and you hear a lot about white light in meditations. So those are the colors. If you want to work with one of the chakras very simply and have more of it in your diet, just commit. Maybe put stickies up, little sticky notes all over that remind you to eat your red foods if you're boosting your root, or eat your orange foods if you're boosting your sacral, and so on. So that's number one, and it really is that simple. I know it sounds too simple, but it really is. The second way that we can work with food to boost balance and heal the chakras is to work with the food type, or have more of the food type that is related to a particular chakra if we are focusing on one particular chakra. And here are the food types for each chakra. The root chakra, remember, is about strength and stability. Just think root, strong. So it's not surprising that the root chakra is related to forms of protein. So getting more protein in your diet, they say, makes you stronger. Proteins are related to the root. Want more root? Go for red, because remember, color's important, and go for proteins. The next one, the sacral, is about liquids. Now that shouldn't surprise you, right? Proteins are about strength, which the root is about, and liquids, we're in the water chakra now. So of course, liquids, drinking more liquids, making sure you're getting more water, and maybe taking more foods, like instead of eating certain foods, taking them in a smoothie, right? Juicing juices, fresh juices. Liquids are really good for the sacral chakra. And a lot of foods, and soups too, a lot of cream soups they're liquids in our body. So liquids are a good way to boost the sacral. At the solar plexus, this is where we get our energy, our get up and go. This is where we digest and break down the food, right? The solar plexus in our stomach. So it shouldn't be too surprising that here the food type is carbohydrates. So another little telling sign is if you have a lot of trouble with carbohydrates and grains and things like that, you may have a weak solar plexus. And once that strengthens, don't assume you're going to have an allergy to a certain food type after you've healed a particular chakra. Be open-minded to the fact that this stuff can change. So for the solar plexus, you want more solar power and get up and go, then you can eat some more carbohydrates. Okay, so heart chakra. The food type for the heart chakra is veggies. Shouldn't surprise you, the color here is green. Veggies turn our body more alkaline. It's just such a healthy state to go for alkaline. So veggies are what opens your heart. Kind of funny, right? Here we were as kids getting all mad at mom for making us eat the veggies, and she was just loving us up. So veggies in the heart chakra, and when you get up into your throat chakra, we're talking about fruits. So veggies and then fruits. The second chakra and the fifth chakra, they always have this wonderful relationship. So the fruits, you often want to juice the fruits, and that makes them good for the second chakra. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I'm always noticing this beautiful symbiosis that seems to happen with the second chakra and the fifth chakra. I like to do a lot of things creative. If you're a creative person, you're probably noticing this relationship between the second chakra and the fifth as well. So fruits, that beautiful, healthy sweetness in our lives, and there's so many fruits that are very beautifully erotic. So that brings us back to the sacral as well too. Fruits for the throat. The food type for the 6th chakra, now realize we're up in the upper chakras now. So food, because food relates to the physical body, is much more effective in the lower chakras, in healing the lower chakras. We have fruits at the throat, but there aren't a lot of them in that color palette of the deep blue. Then at the 3rd eye, we have no more food types left. The 3rd eye is really about presentation. Okay, so it's not really about a food type other than to bring the quality of beauty into the presentation of your food, because this is a visual chakra and it's a visionary chakra and the highest feminine. So it's all about how do you lay out the spread when you make the food, when you present it, when you eat it. How do you eat it? The whole presentation being more beautiful, more elegant. Think of a peacock's beauty. I always think of the peacock for the 3rd eye, because the 3rd eye is about appreciation of beauty. So we're already into the highest spiritual chakras. The 6th and the 7th are just so highly into the spiritual realm that they're no longer really about feeding our body. They're about feeding our soul. So the 3rd eye is about presentation. That's its food type, as I like to say. It doesn't have a type. It's just, do you want to put more energy into the way you present your food on the plate? If you do, and if you commit to that, because you have to eat every day anyway, you are going to boost your 3rd eye. Your 3rd eye loves beauty and loves you consciously paying attention to beauty and imbibing beauty. And finally, for the crown is white. It's also violet, but think more spiritually, it's white. But the crown is so beyond food. We're in the place where there is no mass. We're outside the body even. We don't even need to feed it anymore. So the crown is really, it's a non-food type. And I will get into it deeper in the crown video when I do the whole series for you. This is just the intro, but as I do the series, I'll talk more about that and how we work with that. But there is no type for the crown. Okay, which of course means, as most people know, crown is very much related to not eating, to fasting. Fasting has long been known as a way to move up more into your spiritual energies. The 3rd area that we can do healing with food for our chakras is a little more complicated, because we have to get on to Google and ask a few questions. It's about the glands that are related to each chakra. Now, I'm not going to go deeply into the glands right now because that's a whole separate video. Okay, I'll say them super quickly so you can actually look them up. You can use Google if you'd like, and I'm making a mental note to myself to probably do a video for you about the glands in the near future here. But right now I'm just going to let you know that the root chakra is related to the testes and the male testosterone hormones, okay? The sacral is related to the ovaries and the feminine estrogen, the feminine hormone estrogen, okay? So the gland is the ovaries, but you can also look at things that are estrogen boosting foods. The solar plexus is related to the adrenals. It's that get up and go, as well as the pancreas. So things that are good for the adrenals and the pancreas are going to be good for the solar plexus, for boosting the solar plexus. The heart chakra is related actually to the heart. So foods that are good for the heart are great, because the heart has been shown now to be a gland. And that's why I have to do a video on that, because many people don't know that the heart has been identified as actually not just being an organ, but also being a gland. But in the heart chakra, we also have the thymus. So there are certain foods and food types that really help the thymus. And you can go toward those. And then in the throat chakra, we're talking about the thyroid. The thyroid has many foods that help it a lot, and the thyroid is so important because it deals with your whole body's metabolism. So, as well as many other things, but definitely with your metabolism, and that's very, very important for all of us, how everything is just moving in our whole body and our energy levels and things like that. Then in the third eye, we again are to a point where it's not as strong, but we have the pineal. Okay, I mean, in other words, I shouldn't say it's not as strong, but it's harder to find food. So you might not find as many foods that relate to the pineal. But nowadays we're getting more and more research about the brain. So you can look that up. What foods or what natural chemicals that the body produces are good for the pineal. And then you can find foods that will help to create that atmosphere. And for the crown, we're talking about the pituitary and the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus and the pituitary are the glands for the crown, and you can look those up as well and see if there's any foods. In general, you can also just work with brain boosters for the upper chakras. You can look at things that are brain boosters. So that's the very biological level, right? So we have colors that we can use. We have food types that we can use. And we have foods that stimulate and help the glands and the hormones that come from some of those glands that are beneficial for each chakra. So those are 3 handy ways that if you keep those in mind, you can go be creative about what you eat and have your daily menu, your diet, healing and boosting your chakras. It'll take a little innovation on your part, but if you want me to do some of the work for you, then keep an eye out for my series. I'm going to create a 7-week series for you that is each week, 1 chakra, and we're going to talk about my 5 favorite foods for each chakra for boosting and balancing that chakra. So I don't think you can get mad at me about the homework on this one. All it is just eat really good foods, because besides eating all of the types and colors of foods for each chakra, we want to make sure that our food in general in this day and age is natural. So much of the food that we are calling food is not food, guys. A little while ago in history, we turned into a manufacturing society and we went for convenience. And the food manufacturers started creating food with long shelf life. Food is not supposed to have shelf life. That was so they wouldn't have spoils and so they could distribute the food. That was all for business reasons. But our bodies should not be having foods with shelf life in them, because guess what? Food is supposed to move through our bodies. So when it doesn't, when it's got a lot of preservatives, when it's got a lot of things that throw us chemically off balance, like hydrogenated oils or high fructose corn syrups, which are 2 that you should definitely avoid as much as possible, along with all preservatives, those things get stuck in our body because they're not natural. Our body doesn't know how to process them. We haven't had much practice, right? We've been eating berries forever on this planet, but we've only been eating chemicals, preservatives, and things that make manufactured food for a short while, and it's really, really not good for our bodies. So I'm going to leave you with that final note of please let your food be natural, and as often as possible wherever you live, if you can have it be organic, that just makes it 1 step more natural. But when I'm saying natural, I mean foods that perish, right? And that do not stick in your body well past when they should. I heard a joke once that I've heard people say literally they took a McDonald's hamburger and put it somewhere and then found it. They somehow left it somewhere in a tool shed or something when they were out doing some work, and then they found it like a year later and it was almost intact. And there's some pictures floating around the internet, I believe, of that sort of thing, of old McDonald's hamburgers if you look at them. And that's just a great visual example of how foods have been manufactured now to have long shelf lives that do not help our body and very much do harm our body. So please stay with natural foods, and then keep an eye on the colors, keep an eye on the food types, and become more aware of what foods are best for the glands, the endocrine glands, for the chakra that you wish to boost or heal. And you're going to find that your daily habit of eating is just going to simply and naturally, and most importantly, deliciously heal your chakras. Thanks so much for going on this journey with me, guys. I love you, and I will see you on the next video. Blessings.